Darkest Hour is a new movie by Joe Wright, and it stars Gary Oldman, Lily James, and Ben Mendelsohn. In the darkest hour of Britain, Winston Churchill is elected as the Prime Minister to run Britain, and it's all going pretty bad, but unfortunately the entire British army is stuck in the beaches of Dunkirk. So Winston Churchill has to deal with this event, find a way to get him out, and run everything while doing this. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of historical dramas. So when I heard about The Darkest Hour, I was like, okay, it's another World War II drama. I love The King's Speech, but I was like, okay, Winston Churchill, Gary Oldman, let's just see what it's like. But once the reviews came out of TIFF, it got really solid word of mouth. But not just that, Gary Oldman was the front runner when Best Actor after these film festivals. I was like, what, Gary Oldman? Yeah, I want to see this now. So I finally saw The Darkest Hour since it finally expanded in my area. What did I think about The Darkest Hour? I think it's a pretty good movie that has some really good and well filmmaking. That its only true exceptional thing is his performance by Gary Oldman, but nothing else. Now, like I said in the first part, if there's one truly exceptional thing about this movie, it's Gary Oldman's remarkable performance as Winston Churchill. I mean, first of all, look at that photo of Winston Churchill. I mean, come on. Don't tell me that does not look unrecognizable. Gary Oldman looks unrecognizable. But I mean, one thing was just makeup and nothing else. But not just that. Gary Oldman owns every single line, monologue, and he owns every single scene. He's a truly remarkable performance that's definitely going to get him some Oscar attention. Maybe the win. And probably deservedly so, because honestly, I never knew this until now. Gary Oldman has never won an Oscar. And I think it's well deserved. While I do think James Franco is still the best actor wise, because he was that good as Tommy Wiseau, I still think Gary Oldman was remarkable in Darkest Hour, and it's definitely the main reason you should go see this movie. Also, I gotta talk about the second half about this movie. Now, the second half, once it gets up to the Dunkirk evacuation, that's when the movie got far more interesting for me. There's actually a great central conflict to it. The entire British army is stuck on the beach of Dunkirk. Now, Winston Churchill has to deal with this. What actions should he take? The meeting room, how they feel about him, and the speech he has to write at the end to inspire all these soldiers to fight against Adolf Hitler. And what I really found it was very interesting, riveting, and just really good. I really liked the second half of this movie, and I found it far more interesting than the first half. We'll get to that first half in a little bit. I think the direction by Joe Wright is also very good. Not Academy Award direction worthy, but it's still really good. You can really tell he put a lot of care into the shots, into the historicalness of this movie, and it really feels timely. But also, let's just talk about the cinematography. The cinematography is great. It's all low lights and colors just because it's a dark period in Britain, and I feel like it works really well for the story that's trying to be told, but also good imagery and good lighting use. So I feel like it's pretty good. And finally, I just feel like this feels like an old classic movie. It feels like a period piece in the Britain time period, and I feel like it works extremely well for what the movie's trying to convey. Darkest Hour is a really flawed movie, and let's just talk about it. First of all, I said it earlier, the second half is really interesting when talking about the Dunkirk evacuation and what it has to deal with, and it's really good. But man, the first act is a drag. Let's just say this. The first act, I get the idea of it. It establishes Winston Churchill as a character, his flaws, how he can be addicted to people sometimes. I get that, but the problem is, the first half really doesn't do much for the movie because there's not much of a central character conflict to it. In the second half, there is. He has to deal with the Dunkirk evacuation, what actions he could take, how to rescue all those British soldiers stuck in the beach. But in the first act, there really isn't much for you to care, so there's not much of a conflict or reason to anything. So in the first act, I'm just like, oh my god, well, let's just get going. It's not the worst first act ever, because there's some really good scenes sprinkled here and there, but I just feel like the movie really got going in the second half. And the first act was just really slow and really get going. This movie also revolves mostly around Gary Oldman and Winston Churchill, and thank God, because most of the supporting characters very much fall flat in comparison. Lily James plays the secretary to Winston Churchill. She has some really good scenes and really good moments and motivation, but she's not in the movie that much. I think she's the best supporting character because Ben Mendelsohn also plays King George, and man, he was really forgettable. Let's just say that. So in a handful of scenes, doesn't really do much for the story, and just does a lot of expedition, and I just feel like it's a very forgettable Ben Mendelsohn performance. In conclusion, The Darkest Hour, like I said before, this is a good movie that has some really good filmmaking, that has only true exceptional quality is Gary Oldman's remarkable performance, but it falls flat in comparison to that performance. Now, if this movie was nearly as good as Gary Oldman's remarkable performance, I feel like it'd be a truly special movie. Unfortunately, we're left with a movie that's just good, but didn't really do much for me. Now, I get why he's getting Oscar attention. I get why Gary Oldman's getting nominated. I really wouldn't mind if he won, but I just feel like it's that Oscar bait movie that no one's really going to remember 5 years from now, because the movie's that forgettable. I mean, if you're into these World War II dramas, go see it. Otherwise, I mean, probably not, but you should mainly see it for Gary Oldman's performance. I'm going to give Darkest Hour a 7 out of 10. I didn't hate it, I enjoyed it, but I feel like there's far better movies, including the actual real Dunkirk movie, Dunkirk, which Christopher Nolan directed really well. I feel like that one's worth seeing over this one. Alright guys, thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give me a like, favorite, and subscribe. Click on the notification bell for more alerts on my videos, and comment below and tell me what you thought of my videos so you can encourage me to make way more videos in the future. Anyways guys, I'll see you in the next video.